Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another episode of Daily Palantir, and on today's show, we've got Palantir closing for the first time in the past 5 months above $27. Very exciting day in the stock market. I was live on the market open if you guys joined me, and we saw Palantir break from 25.80 to like 26.20. I looked at the order book volume, and it didn't seem like there was any resistance to 27. Within about 2 hours, even close, I think within about, honestly, an hour, and then we stayed live for like another hour, we were above $27, and we held 27 for the majority of the day. Very exciting day. Palantir above 27. Again, we haven't touched it since early March, so nice to see us get back to that level. I have a lot of thoughts on price action and upcoming catalysts. Additionally, today's video, and the title of this video, is Palantir's Model 3 moment is here. Now, I do not think Palantir stock went up today because of the Model 3 moment that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And this video was only going to be about the Model 3 moment, but we got this price action today, so I want to talk about that. So the first 7 to 8 minutes of this video, I'm going to talk about price action, talk about catalysts, my thoughts on what happened with the stock, and the last 7 to 8 minutes of this video, highly recommend watching. We're going to go deep into what is this Model 3 moment that I believe is happening for Palantir, and how Wall Street probably doesn't care about it at all. Eventually they will, and if they do, then maybe 27 isn't the end of this rally. Thank you everybody for being here. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off with price action. Obviously, an incredible day in the world of Palantir. Really good day for the broader market. 27.23 is where we ended on the day. After hours, we're at 27.20. So why did we get this 5% run on the day? Why is 27 so significant? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First, 27 is a very sexy number. It's just like, I'm going to be 27 in October. It would be nice to be twinning with Palantir, also being 27 around then, maybe even a little bit more than 27. But I think in general, I was talking about this on the market open today, I think 27 is just a sexy number. Like, you put the 2 and the 7 together, it's just a sexy number. Outside of that, last time Palantir hit 20 was after we got the Titan contract back in March, early March, end of February. And that was a big deal. All-time high, or 52-week high, was 27.50. We didn't get that high today. I think we peaked at like 27.24. And so like we weren't able to get to that 27.50 level. But the fact that the market was willing to get back to 27 after being stuck in this 24 to 26 range for the past month now, it's really exciting. I mean, every time this week, Palantir, we had 4 days because one day was July 4th, so no trading. Palantir broke above 26 and then it fell back to 25.80. So it kind of felt like it was a spring and it just wanted to let loose. And then today officially it let loose. Now, a couple of macro reasons for why it let loose, and then I want to get into some specifics on Palantir. Number one, we got unemployment data, and unemployment data in the United States is officially 4% or 4.1%. It actually went up to 4.1%. So as a result of having that 4.1% unemployment data, Fed swaps priced in 2 rate cuts. Those are different financial derivatives, and they priced in 2 rate cuts because if unemployment is going up, that means the Fed has to cut rates to be able to stimulate the economy again. So if we're having unemployment go higher and we're having a labor market that's weakening, and inflation's coming down as well, that creates a scenario where we can get at least 1 cut in September, and that's where the market took off. 553 on the S&P, ended at 554. Tesla also closed at 250. So that's one macro reason that definitely helped Palantir today. If we're more likely to get a rate cut than Palantir, which is a growth stock, benefits from rate cuts, has no debt. So that could be one reason why Palantir went up today. That was one of the macro reasons. Another reason I believe Palantir did well today, quite frankly, is because earnings are coming up in early August. And this goes into what we've been talking about when it comes to AI. So something really interesting happened over the past couple of days. Sequoia, which is a huge venture capital firm, they are in Silicon Valley. They seeded Google. I mean, like tons and tons of amazing companies. They published an article a couple days ago called the $600 billion AI question. And the thesis of this article was asking the AI startups they invested in why they were a better bet than them just taking their cash as a VC fund and buying NVIDIA. Obviously, VC funds don't buy public equities, but you get kind of the metaphorical argument here. The VCs are saying, hey, AI startups, you guys are telling us AI is going to be revolutionary. Well, why are we investing in you when the AI hardware infrastructure, NVIDIA, AMD, etc., these are the guys that are getting all the momentum. And sort of the thesis of that article was that AI startups are going to have to prove that there is a software application use case of artificial intelligence that makes the data centers and GPUs valuable. Otherwise, this is a massive bubble and nothing's going to come of this. And so my argument here is I think eventually when the world realizes most of these AI software startups, that some of them are going to win, but a lot of them are probably not, they're trying to resemble Palantir, but they're not Palantir. They're not AIP, and they're not the more important part of AIP, which is ontology, which makes AIP valuable. Then I think lots of money ends up flowing into the true AI software application company, which is Palantir. Now, today, is that what happened in terms of price action? I don't know. Maybe there could have been an argument why some people felt like, okay, Palantir is an AI name, let's start throwing some money there. But the broader argument I'm making is that over time, I believe if AI software applications are valuable, which is, it has to be the inevitable byproduct of all these GPUs, right? Like, none of that GPUs and training models does not matter unless people are actually using it. Like ChatGPT, the reason they're coming out with version 5 and 6 eventually is because we use it, right? And the reason they're buying more NVIDIA GPUs is because they need to train models so that we can use it. And if we're not using it, there's no value. So that could be another argument, just from a macro perspective, outside of interest rates getting cut because unemployment went higher, for why Palantir is being positioned as an AI software company that is going to get some momentum from the market. A couple other points. Government growth was 16% last quarter, up from 11%. I think in Q2, if we get closer to 18 to 20%, that's a big deal. On Q2, CARP just needs to be CARP on earnings and continue to stress ontology over chips, basically software over hardware build-out. And I think some of the bigger funds that are going to be listening are going to understand that. There's a reason Stanley Druckenmiller left NVIDIA and came to Palantir, even if it's a small position for him, 800,000 shares. I do believe the big guys will get excited about AI software applications like Palantir. U.S. commercial will be closer to 45% year over year, which is going to bring the majority of the growth this quarter. Operating margins adjusted are 36%. If that sucker goes closer to 38, 40, the street's going to love it. The rule of 40 on Palantir also will probably get higher as well. I think right now it's at 57. We might close in at 60. That's very important. So I think we have a lot of catalysts. We just need a strong earnings, and the market will want to reward Palantir even more. Right now, Palantir is guiding for $2.67 billion of revenue. If they can raise that guidance to 2.75, which maybe that doesn't happen in Q2, maybe that happens in Q3 or Q4, but if they can raise that closer to 24 to 25% year-over-year growth versus 21% year-over-year growth, I do think the street's going to be very excited, and they're going to reward Palantir even more. So, exciting day for the stock. Lots of great momentum. 27, 23, closing above 27 for the first time really this year, because we got to 27 again in March, but we never closed there. We touched 27.50 for like a little bit, and then we just came back down. Maybe this is the range where we settle into over the coming weeks if we have a good earnings. So in terms of my thoughts on where the stock goes from here, I don't know. Could the stock go back to 23? Yeah. Could the stock run to 30? Yeah. My sort of a prescriptive analysis of how this plays out is based on earnings. And I think earnings are going to go well. I could be wrong. Last time I thought earnings would go well. They did go well, and then Palantir dropped 20%. That could happen again as well. Maybe, we get a higher CPI report next week, and then everything takes a dip if like inflation's too hot. There's all these things that can affect it. But in terms of the broad trajectory, I think if earnings goes good and we have a friendly macroeconomic environment, then 27 is not crazy to settle in, and kind of like right now we're flirting with 27. We got to like actually take it on a couple dates and like, bring it back home and stuff. So like we got to really maintain 27 for a bit. We've been doing that with 25 for the past couple weeks. It seems like 25, we moved on from that. And now we got to chill out with 27 for it to really be a sign of like support for the stock. But I think on an amazing earnings, we can crush and we can go back up to 30. Does it fall back from there? Sure, that could happen. Or on a great earnings, but the guidance is just not that good enough, we fall back to 23. At the end of the day, if you're really long on the stock, and if you're watching this channel, you probably really are long on this stock. I mean, I've come to the conclusion that even if you have a $25, $30 average, if you think this is a $100 stock, that's a 3x from here. The days are gone getting in below 20. Unless something happens with the market, I don't think that's happening. So if the days are gone and getting in below 20, then it's like, it is what it is. Now the question is, do you want to be in this stock for the next 10 years? Do you think there is 3, 4, 5x potential? And if you think that is, and there's a lot of videos on this channel believing that the company has the potential to grow and that the stock will inevitably be a byproduct of that company growth, then you just dollar cost average and you kind of deal with it from that perspective. I usually don't run a ton of options on Palantir. I don't buy options. I do sell covered calls here and there. I definitely sell puts on Palantir. But the broad thing is just increasing shares and having that, play out over the next decade. So I think really now the question is just going to be, can Palantir execute on Q2? And if they can, I think the market's going to continue to give it a premium. If they can't, maybe we take a little bit of a dip. At this point, given that we went to 27, I think the dip gets bought up rather easily and people get excited to buy the dip. But if we really do execute, I think there's going to be more momentum and the street's going to get excited for Palantir. It's just a question of what Q2 earnings ends up looking like. So not bad. Palantir, 27, first close at 27 this entire year. Congrats to everybody. for today. All right, let's get into this Model 3 moment that I've been wanting to talk about for the past couple days now. So first of all, AIP. AIP is Palantir's artificial intelligence platform. Now, a couple months ago when I was at the AI Expo that Palantir was presenting at, Sham, in his keynote, revealed Build with AIP, which was this idea that anyone could access AIP and you could immediately start going through modules, taking different courses, building on different applications. You would get $500 of free credit, and that was really exciting stuff for Palantir. Well, they basically took that to the next level with what they're doing with AIP. Now, officially, and this is a post from Arnie. I'm going to leave his Twitter in the description, so everyone, please make sure to check it out because he broke it down really nice here. The AIP developer tier is free in perpetuity. That means it's free forever. And this is really, really exciting. The previous tier had a $500 credit and a 30-day trial. So they got the whole credit card from you to sign up for AIP, which is important, right? The way Palantir really scales, and I'll talk more about this in a second, is when anyone can sign up and immediately start paying and they can collect revenue all across the world from millions and millions of people right from their credit cards. Now, potential clients will need to upgrade to an enterprise license to unlock the full power of AIP, but anyone, if you're a developer, or even if you're not a developer, but you're curious of seeing what it's like, you can get started with AIP. This is the website right here. I'll put it in the chat, or I'll put it in the description. As you can see, sign up for AIP, activate full spectrum AI in days, and drive enterprise operations. First name, last name, sign up for a free AIP developer account, and then you put in all your information, and then you're in to AIP. This is really exciting, and this is really important for a couple of reasons. First, let me read off what Arnie's saying. Why is Palantir doing this? The goal is to stimulate builders, people that actually build products and applications on top of something like Foundry and AIP, around the world to taste how it is to build with AIP directly. That's why it's called Build with AIP. Palantir AIP could be deployed to solve virtually any use case. I saw that firsthand at AIPCon last month. I saw that as well when I was with Arnie, and this is the website Build with AIP. I'll put this in the description as well. This is all the different shit you can do with AIP, and you can get started immediately once you sign up and get going. Arnie says, awareness is the only limit. By letting potential clients play with AIP, Palantir can show its product superiority. A working use case that you build with your own hands for free is worth 10 million PowerPoints. Now, this is not for software engineers only. This is for wherever you want to deploy AI into real use cases, thanks to no low code, so hard coding skills are required. So if you're a hard coder, that's amazing. But if you're not a hard coder, you can still deploy AI because of no and low code. This is for builders currently available in the USA, UK, Canada, and India. So Arnie says, will the AIP free tier create a chat GPT moment? Now, why is this so important? This is so important because, first of all, let's give a real example. Shout out to Chad and Iliano. I'm going to put their Twitters in the description as well. Everyone should follow them. They are leading the effort on engaging with retail investors in the Palantir community and connecting the company to all of us that are excited about the company. They met with Whole Mars Catalog. As you can see right here, Sham actually retweeted Whole Mars. If you don't know Whole Mars, he's a 400,000 follower account on Twitter who mainly covers Tesla, but he's interested in tech. Palantir actually reached out to him. They somehow got a meeting with him. And look what he said. I've always thought of Palantir as something that you have to be a massive corporation or major world government to buy, but with their new AIP tool, you can just sign up. I'm signing up to check it out now after the demo they gave me on Monday at their offices. And he tweets a build with AIP picture. And he was at their offices and he was able to actually check out the demos and build with AIP. This is really exciting, and the reason I'm saying this is a Model 3-esque type of moment is because what did the Model 3 do for Tesla? What the Model 3 did was it made Tesla not only a household name, but it gave access and democratization to anyone to be able to buy a Tesla. You didn't have to shell out $250,000 just to buy a car. Now, the cars were still expensive when the Model 3 released, compared to like a Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla, but it started to feel more realistic that car could sell millions of units. And over the past decade, it has sold millions of units for a reason. The Model 3 was the accessible version for anyone that was interested in Tesla to get into a Tesla. And once you got into the Model 3, then you're like, well, What does the Model S look like? What does the Model Y look like? Like now you're actually interested into the Tesla ecosystem, and that gets people very excited. Now, the Tesla ecosystem is a consumer product. ChatGPT is a consumer product. The iPhone is a consumer product. Palantir is a B2B enterprise product. But what if Palantir could be a consumer product? Now, no, they're not coming out with Palantir for health or Palantir for your, it's like an app on your iPhone that you use every day to track your daily life. Maybe one day that happens, but this is a consumer product in the respects of anyone who is a developer or who is interested in building with AIP, even if that's not hundreds of billions of millions of people, but that could also mean, hundreds of thousands of people across the world that immediately want to get access to AIP and start building on top of it. That is the Model 3-esque moment that's happening with Palantir. And it's very exciting. It's very exciting because how does Palantir grow and get out of just being an enterprise software company that's sold with like $50 million deals? Well, you need random people that are in India. For example, I had a bunch of Indian followers message me on Twitter saying they were so excited that this launched because they're finally starting to use it. You need people across the world to be like, I have an idea. I want to build XYZ workflow, or I want to build this application, but I need these AI agents, and I think I could use Palantir to... You need these builders, just like people who want to build a startup and they need storage and they need cloud compute, AWS, GCP, Azure. Like the reason those three became hyperscalers is because they gave access to anyone in the world, whether you're paying $20 a month or $20 million a month, to be able to use their services. That is kind of my bull case for Palantir over the next decade, is if the software is so differentiated, if an ontology and AIP on top of that ontology is so unique compared to the enterprise data analytic platforms that exist today, then everyone in the world should be using it. And if everyone in the world did know that it existed, which they don't know right now, awareness is the broader issue, then what would that mean for growth? What would that mean for thousands of developers that, forget them paying $100 a month. Let's say they work at a company that could definitely use Palantir. Let's say they work at a hospital that could absolutely use Palantir. What if they, built a scheduling workflow, an operational workflow for scheduling nurses, and they built it and they deployed it in, one sector of the hospital just on the free dev tier account. And then they're like, holy shit, why don't we have this across the entire fucking hospital? Like, then you call up Palantir and say, hey, can we get a meeting? Can we go to a boot camp? Like, the network effects around this actually expanding to me are gigantic. I don't think the stock ran to 27 because of this. I don't even think Wall Street knows about this. But that's exciting because if the stock's running and they don't even know about this, and this actually works and it expands and you get thousands and thousands of people across the world starting to use Build with AIP, and then that leads to more developer, essentially evangelists, getting interested in the world of Palantir. Well, there you go. That's where you have organic growth. That's where you don't need to be trying to figure out how do I get clients to a boot camp. You have clients saying, hey, we want to come to a boot camp. And so this is why it definitely does feel like a Model 3 moment. At its core, if we look from a first principles perspective, the end goal for Palantir is to focus on the value generated through their platforms. They will get paid when the value is delivered. If they can democratize AIP to the entire world and they're streamlining value across the world without having to set up a sales meeting or anything, people can just sign up immediately, get access, get value. Now the Palantir developer community that they launched at AIPCon, they can get support from that community, from Palantirians themselves. You're talking about unlocking value at a massive scale. And if that value is unlocked at a massive scale, that will translate to top-line growth. That top-line growth in customers will eventually translate to revenue growth. That revenue growth eventually translates to earnings per share and bottom-line growth in terms of net income and profits. So to me, this is exciting. This is really exciting. And again, a lot of people aren't talking about it. Palantir didn't make a whole PR or anything about it, but it is out, and I expect them to push this a lot harder over the coming months. And if it starts working and they start getting a ton of leads, I mean, I'm getting messages every day from people that want to get connected to someone at Palantir because they work at a hospital, they work at this type of company, and they're like, hey, I'm just curious if Palantir can work for us. And if you could just say, hey, sign up for this, go to your IT guy, let him start playing with this stuff, test out a couple things over the next couple months, then see if you want to have a real serious meeting. I mean, that immediately creates efficiency in the process of your go-to-market, which has been the biggest critique of Palantir for the past couple of years. Like, can they really go to market? We know they have the tech. Can they figure out the sales? This is a company that still doesn't have 1/100th of the sales force of literally a company like Salesforce of Snowflake, but they're growing and they're figuring it out. And I think if the product is what allows them to grow, then giving people access to the product is what's going to allow them to grow, because they're going to see how valuable the product is. So this is really cool. Really exciting. $27 for Palantir. I hope you guys had a great day. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who showed up to the market open, market close with me. If you don't show up to those streams and you're subscribed to the channel, please make sure to check out those streams whenever you get a chance. It's really fun. And on a day when Palantir runs as a community, we get to watch every little tick of the stock go up, and it's a great time. So thank you everybody for being here. It means the world. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Palantir Weekly will be tonight at 11 p.m. and we'll keep going from there. Bye everyone.